Hello, Savannah. Hello, Savannah. I'm going to give my guests a little bit to come on in here. Listen, this is another edition of Candidly Kesha. We are coming to you live to bring you information and news that you can use. We are coming off of a very, very tough and difficult city council meeting on last Thursday. The agenda was loaded, unusually loaded, with 53 items for an evening meeting that started at 6:30 p.m. That was poor judgment, but I submit to you that it was deliberate and intentional in that we had a very contentious item on the agenda involving the millage rate, where it was open to the public. Individuals were able to weigh in. We did a lot of public awareness, outreach, and engagement, encouraging people to come to City Hall and express their opinions, desire, and interest as it related to the millage rate. As a result, many people came into chambers to make their presence as well as their voices known and heard. In addition, there was another item that was pretty contentious involving the South Side, Georgetown, District 6, Herons Road, Herons Nest Road. This item has been evolving for quite some time now. Many community engagement meetings with the developer, meetings with residents, meetings with the district alderperson, who is Curtis Purdy, as well as others, only to have the maneuvering take place that was inclusive of keeping the meeting far longer than it needed to be. There were more than a dozen residents from the Georgetown area in chambers. They were there before the meeting started. The meeting started at 6:30 p.m. There were other items on the agenda that were moved up, like 5 or 6 items involving the airport. Individuals who were in chambers representing the airport, waiting for their items to be heard if there were any questions, were able to leave early because the mayor decided that the meeting was going to go long so they could have their meetings moved up, we vote on it, and they could leave. What, my friends, I should ask, precluded this same mayor from extending the same compassion and concern for the residents in Georgetown? In addition, as those residents spoke, they were only given 2 minutes. After sitting in chambers for over 4 hours, they were only given 2 minutes to exercise their right to speak as it related to their desire to share with council how the development of Landmark, who essentially were proposing over 350 homes in that area, would adversely affect their quality of life as it is today, in that so many circumstances are yet to be mitigated involving their properties. So, previous to the meeting, we had an individual who represents that area who has been very vocal and active in the person of Miss Ellison. Came to us just before the meeting as we sat at break and asked myself and Alderwoman Blakely, where were we on the project? Because she was told just before the meeting started by the District 3 alderperson that they simply did not have the votes to reject the project. By now, most of you know that it takes 5 votes to vote an item up or to vote an item down. Myself, Alderwoman Blakely, and Alderwoman Lanier asserted to Ms. Ellison that we, in fact, intended to vote in favor of the residents near and around and on Herons Nest Road. She was taken aback as it was not consistent with what she was told early on. So I encouraged her to go back in the meeting. I encouraged her to go back in the meeting and not to leave. And I acknowledged to Ms. Ellison that we, in fact, were in favor of the residents of Heron's Nest. We stated to her, you have 3 votes. Surely you have the vote of your district representative, who essentially has sold his vote to the mayor. So as a favor, I would imagine that he could too get that vote or one from his other colleagues whom he have voted lock and step with for the duration of our time on council. To my dismay, it did not go that way. So as we progressed, we saw the maneuvering. We recognized that there was an attempt to weigh those residents down. There was an attempt to bamboozle those residents, to confuse them, and to make them think that we, Alderwoman Blakely and Lanier and myself, were not in favor of what they wanted, when in fact we actually were. And so, as Mr. Ellison has come back on, I want to share with you what this gentleman essentially submitted to our council over the weekend. That's just how disturbing the outlay of all of this has been. Mr. Ellison, if you would just give me a minute. Honorable Mayor and Alderwomen and men, thank you for having the building of 350 homes on Wild Heron on the agenda recently. We, as concerned citizens, were in attendance very late in the evening, and my wife and I had an opportunity to speak to you all. It is our feeling that our comments, along with the many others, fell on deaf ears. My wife has been at every meeting. She could have found the address. I'm sorry. My wife has been to every meeting she could find to address our concerns on the issue, only to realize that something happened to reverse many of your decisions before you heard the public speak on the concerns. I was called out of the room before the topic was presented by 2 alderwomen and men to inform me that we did not have the votes to deny building of 350 homes. I said, please consider listening to the concerns of the public before you decide. Shame on all of you that stated you would vote to allow the building of 350 homes. I thank those that voted to table this and return it to MPCs and the builders to get together with the public again and come up with a solution. Although this has been done before and MPC failed to come up with a solution everyone could agree on, it was my wife's belief that we had 100% vote to vote against the building of 350 homes without further consideration. What happened? I hope all of you can explain why you will vote with the builders and against the public. My wife and others brought up serious concerns related to the environment, traffic, children's safety, and diminished quality of life. We know you think we need to build many more homes in Savannah, but you will see more harm than good if you build that many homes in that area. I believe you truly know that this is the way to many homes for that this is way too many homes for this area. We as citizens agree that if you kept the original zoning as agricultural land and only build 150 homes, we could live with that. I hope you can let us know why you voted against us and have a conversation with us as citizens so you understand our concerns and understand the harm you will do to this community. You were elected to help the community, and we expect you to do your part. This letter will be shared with the community, and we will send a letter to the editor of the Savannah Morning News. Now, That was from the Ellisons. I also want to share with you additional concerns that came from residents in this same area. And I hope you all are tracking here. Let's see. Bear with me, Mr. Ellison, for a second.
Of course.
Let's see here. Walker. So what I want to do here is lay some foundation so that you all understand that when a petition is made before council, citizens have a right to allow their voices to be heard relative to how those particular items will impact their community, either in support and favorably, or not support it and explain how it would adversely affect it. So Debbie Williams Walker posted yesterday, Georgetown, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Alderman Curtis Purdy motions for the landmark project to go forward during the July 27th meeting of the mayor and aldermen of the city of Savannah. The zoning hearing was on behalf of Brian Wardlaw from Landmark 24 to rezone 105 acres on Wild Herons Road from AI to RSF 5 and RMF 1. That is essentially, as Mr. Ellison explained in his letter, moving from agricultural to residential, which would increase the density. We almost got the issue sent back to MPC. The vote to send it back to the MPC failed 5-4. Alicia Miller Blakely made an alternative motion to send the issue back to MPC. And guess who voted in favor of the developers? Curtis Purdy sided with developers. City of Savannah residents in Georgetown, please remember this and what it will mean pertaining to increased traffic in Georgetown when we vote in November. I am pleased that most members of the City Council really grasp our issues. Special thanks to residents of Georgetown who spoke on behalf of the community. Each person who spoke addressed the issue from a different point. We only had about 9 people who spoke. A few left early because the meeting was just too long. The good news is that the city council did not vote for the passage, and there will be a second hearing. I am so disappointed in Purdy. However, we have earned the right to fight another day, and we will have new ammunition. There was a lot of information directed to the county, and there was no one there to confirm or deny. Purdy stated that they have a commitment from Chatham County to split some of the traffic costs 3 ways. Believe that if you want to. Wardlaw mentioned that the townhouses will start at $300,000, which will be affordable for single mothers. Many people got a chuckle about that and found that statement unbelievable. At the 3-hour mark, 3-hour mark, Purdy stated he was ready to move forward with this project at 3:01, 3 hours and 1 minute mark. Purdy asked that the first reading be considered the second and the ordinance be placed on its passage and be passed. This essentially means he was trying to rush the ball through with approval. There was much discussion. Alicia Miller Blakely, Keisha Gibson Carter, and Bernetta Lanier championed our cause. They discussed traffic, quality of life, infrastructure, and other key issues. They did an outstanding job and are to be commended for their support. So they are acknowledging that they are looking to organize more formal groups pertaining to this issue and would like to call the media out to share our story. We hope that the media will respect her call, Mr. Ellison. Come out and share your story without bias, as they normally are. We recognize that this is a very serious issue, and this issue should not be politicized. But unfortunately, we can't help but make it somewhat political, in that I want to point out and demonstrate that the reason why these residents did not get what they wanted is essentially because it was already determined. Producer, if you can put up the campaign disclosures. It was already determined far longer and far before the meeting was scheduled. So you will see campaign disclosures where we have captured excerpts. So while we are pondering and asking questions, why wouldn't a district older person listen to and heed to the voice of the residents? This is why. Producer, do we have those campaign disclosures? If not, Mr. Ellison, can you go ahead and fill in whatever gap I left? And ultimately, we want to hear from you and Ms. Ellison essentially about how you and other residents feel at Georgetown. And what are your thoughts on this project and the meeting?
Yes, I can. And I'm extremely disappointed with the alderman in our district. Uh, he assured us that he had our vote and he would vote against the 350 homes. And we knew that we had a unanimous vote against it. However, it reversed before we even got to speak. And I told the two that pulled me out of the room before we could speak, please allow my wife to speak before you make up your mind.
And
I
who are those
posted
two
the
people?
letter on Facebook and what was that? Good. Anyway, I had over 100 responses from that, uh, questioning what is going on, and they told me that this is not the only.
So the two people who pulled him out of the room, I know one person was Alderwoman Linda Wilder Bryan. Their district representative is Curtis Purdy. And so, again, ladies and gentlemen, it takes 5 votes. It takes 5 votes for anything to be voted up or voted down. The Ellisons in Georgetown went into the meeting with 3 votes. They had, once Miss Ellison spoke with me, she was taken aback. She was surprised to learn that she had our support. Georgetown had our support. We listened to the residents, but we also recognized the obvious, that the bearing capacity of Georgetown near Heron's Nest just is not what it should be for 350 homes. And so, Mr. Ellison, who is your district older person?
Curtis Purdy is our district alderperson,
And
and
who
he
were the
assured us he had our back, and
and
he
who
would
were the
vote. What?
and who were the 2 persons who pulled you out of chambers?
It was Curtis. Maybe I shouldn't say. My wife is shaking her hand at me, so I will just leave it at Curtis.
And,
I don't want to say who they were, but it was not you. It was not any of the people that voted for, against the 350 homes. It was, in fact, two of the people that voted against it,
Okay.
that voted for it.
So moving forward, because what we want to do is we want you to make an appeal to the residents of Georgetown to get involved, engage, plug in, pay attention so that you have a collective voice. You will strengthen your collective voice, I should say. And secondly, I just want to hear from you. This isn't just a not in my backyard ordeal. This situation involves serious issues related to our environment, traffic, as well as health and
Yeah.
safety. You all had residents in chambers as young as 18, 19 years old, all the way up to 60, 70 years old who were speaking out against this project. Um, just tell us what you want Savannah to know, Mr. Ellison.
I do want Savannah to know that we understand we're under development, but we have to be sensible about the development. There's there's uh, there's buildings on Chevis. There's buildings 17. There's also buildings in Fremont. I mean, Richmond Hill. We can't sustain that. If we could just get the builders to agree to 200 homes, even though that's too many, I feel like it should be 150. But I'm willing to negotiate and say 200 homes.
We need a town hall meeting.
And we need a town hall meeting with Curtis Purdie. I called him and he hasn't responded to my calls or my texts as of yet. And I'm disappointed in that. But anyway, all the building that's going on in Savannah has to be sensible because of the water levels and the flooding. And, we talked for close to 3 hours about the millage and why we have to leave the millage where it's at because of flooding and having to repair all those pipes, etc. We're going to be in a mess. We really are if we don't get this together. So I encourage each and every one of you. Margaret has a list of people. She has all the phone numbers from the people that were there the night of the meeting. And she has even other contacts, and I have contacts. So we will try our darndest to get them all
Spread the word.
and spread the word and get and unite to help us make the council understand this is not just a single issue. It's widespread and it's very, very important because if they ignore the environmental and ignore the traffic, ignore the children, ignore the quality of life, we can't do that. I'm sorry, I'm on a soapbox. I will stop right there.
No, I wanted you
Thank
to
you.
share what was on your heart and mind. That's what my platform is for. Mr. Ellison, can you tell me how long have you lived in the area? And just to give our listening audience an idea, for those who are not familiar with Georgetown out near Heron's Nest, just kind of walk us through where you are located and tell us how long have you lived in the area?
We have been here 10 years since I retired, and Margaret is waving at me. What?
How the traffic has gone.
And the traffic
So much
has increased, and they can't put speed bumps because it's a police and fire road that they need access to, and they have to rapidly respond to fires, etc., and police conditions.
Cars race up
And cars race up and down. But that's that's has increased dramatically in the last 2 or 3 years. But I have been, I'm retired now, but anyway, it doesn't matter. My wife is
Tell them
telling me.
about the mailboxes. We have to go from the back because we're afraid of getting hit.
Margaret, come on and tell them. I'm going to let my wife talk because she's talking to me and I can't keep up.
We
I can
some
hear.
of our neighbors, because some of them are seniors, they
Uh-oh. Okay, so hopefully they will be able to chime back in. But essentially, I wanted people to get an idea of what the issues are in the area and recognize that this is not a situation where it's residents who simply do not want something in their area or in their backyard. Further, I wanted you to get an understanding geographically of where this is located. Um, Again, we don't want to politicize this, but I have to use this as an example to demonstrate why it is political. And the reason it is political, producers, can you tell me why you haven't been able to put up my graphics for the campaign disclosures? I'm not sure, but Miss Ellison, just
I'm
before
sorry, I'm back now.
that's okay, Miss Ellison, just before you were cut off, you were saying that the elderly people who attempt to go to their mailboxes.
you're breaking up and you keep disconnecting. So the mailboxes, they're getting them, where you empty them from the back because they're afraid of getting hit by a car coming through if they go down, onto the road area to get their mail. There's that much traffic that we can't rely on getting it. So we recommended that they go ahead and get mailboxes that they can pull their mail from the opposite end.
Okay, I think we probably have a really bad connection. So again, we did not make this political. The individuals who oppose or who did not vote in favor of the Georgetown residents, and the only thing that a sitting council member on Thursday, July 27th, at about 10:50 could have done is voted to deny this development. That's the only thing that a sitting.
Yeah, you're not coming through.
I think we just have a bad connection. The only thing that a sitting council member could have done in favor of Georgetown that night was to vote this development down. The residents have been around and around the bend. They have been manipulated enough. They have demonstrated how pliable they were by coming to community meeting after community meeting, only to get into chambers and experience the level of manipulative behaviors and actions that are consistent with what I have experienced since my time on council. But moreover, I want to show to you why these residents of Georgetown did not have the support of the majority on council. Exhibit number 1, producer. There you have it. You have a campaign disclosure for several individuals who essentially have taken campaign contributions from the developer, the ward laws. Now, I believe this may be one that that involves actually another contractor. Can you show me another one? Another one. This, and we're looking for the ones involving the ward laws. Curtis Purdy receives a $1,500 campaign contribution 2 months. 2 months, ladies and gentlemen. Curtis Purdy received a $1,500 campaign contribution from Jerry Wardlaw. The same day, he receives a $1,500 contribution from Jack Wardlaw. These, my friends, are the developers for the landmark company who is slated to construct the 350 homes in Georgetown. You tell me, where is it and when is it ethical? It may be legal. It may be legal. But you tell me, where is it ethical for an individual to contribute to a person? Well, I'll say it this way because we don't want to put the responsibility on the developer. The responsibility and the onus is on the sitting council members. It's on us. How is it ethical for your voting record to match your donor dollars? Who are we working for? And you will see this level of engagement throughout. Mr. Ellison, can your wife pick up on how the traffic adversely affects opportunities for seniors to actually be able to check their mailboxes? And you were going from there, Ms. Ellison, saying a few other things.
Margaret. Yes, my wife can speak on the adverse effect to seniors, etc.
Well, mainly is we got to be so careful. I mean, it's not just seniors, it's all ages that it affects. The traffic affects everybody. They're talking about 2 or 3 kids that are going to enter the elementary school with, all these homes going in, and yet they want to say that a single mom with 1 or 2 kids, can afford these homes. There's going to be a lot of kids in that area because they're going to be big homes. It's just small lots. And so I just, can't believe what they're all saying.
Okay, so let's go back to the campaign disclosures. And then when they come back on, we'll switch off again. I'm really grateful for them coming on tonight and laying out how this all has been so adversely impactful. Mr. Ellison, I don't want to labor you all anymore. I promise
Yes.
you no 30 minutes. So is there anything else you want to acknowledge? I think our listening audience has grasped essentially this project, the elements involving the vote on council and how you all feel about it. Is there anything else you want to share before we close?
Oh, Margaret.
I do. I think everybody in the Georgetown area and both the county and the city areas need to demand a town hall meeting that we can talk to our representative and find out what steps we can take to stop this. And also, we need to have the MPC hear our side of the story because they only heard their side of the story. And so we need everybody on board here, everybody on the south side. It affects everybody. And, since they put in this overpass, things are getting worse. So it's going to be crazy. Plus, they're building like 10,000 homes in Richmond Hill. And if they widen the roads here all the way to down Chevitz to 17, a lot more of those cars from Richmond Hill are sneaking through here to get to the 204. So we got to stop it now.
Okay, I think we have a pretty good grasp of what they were saying or wanting to express. So right now, I want my producer to go through the remainder of these campaign disclosures. And I said to you before, the Ellisons in Georgetown had 3 votes going into that meeting. Mine, Alderman Blakely, and Lanier. We promised them that we would support what they desired. And I will say to you, the 3 of us, we agree on a whole lot, but we do not agree on everything. However, when we have this level of passion matched with common sense, because sometimes the passion of residents isn't always consistent with what we need to demonstrate in our communities by living cohesively and coexisting together. I'm mindful of some of the votes that's come up before council as of late that essentially involve issues related to gentrification and black and white issues, those moving out, being forced out, and those moving in. We have to take great care to make sure that we are balancing equity with common community harmony. In this case, it's simple. We had young, old, black, white, able, disabled individuals who were opposing this project, and rightfully so. And so we want to extend some more time to you, Mr. and Mrs. Ellison, to take as much time as you can in this moment to close us out with some final words and to just to tell us what you want. You want to share with us some final words? Okay, I don't think they can hear us. So before they come back on, producer, let's go through the rest of those ward law campaign disclosures so that I can show the listening audience where their other votes. There's you go. Remember, they had 3. They had mine, Alicia Miller Blakely, and Bernetta Lanier. There's another one. If you could go back to the first one for Estella Shabazz, Jack Wardlaw on February 28th, 2023 gave her $1,500. And the second one, Jerry Wardlaw on February 27th, 2023, just months prior to this vote, gave Alderwoman Estella Shabazz $1,500. Next. And there you have it. Van Johnson, Jerry Wardlaw, on May 1st, received $1,000. This, my friends, is why we are in the situation we are in. When sitting council members, including the mayor, when your campaign dollars match your voting record, you are ill prepared to serve. Without favor, without fear and affection, you have proven that you are bought and sold. Savannah, we have to demonstrate that we are not for sale. As we stand with and stand for Georgetown, we stand with all of Savannah, our Savannah. Good night. I love you.
I like that.